we know what happened. It changed. It changed humanity. I think that was the Apple moment in the technological evolution of printing and media. So today, what we call the digital age, and there is a lot of fear. There are people who think that the digital world is a sewage system of the media world, and there is is it a liberation, or is it a limitation, or does it add to the responsibility of people who are still in the business of media? So we are going to discuss all these things, and I am going to start with Professor Devdas, and I am going to ask him, how is the digital revolution is a liberation, or does it add to the responsibility of the media practitioners?
Hi, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Let me start by saying, when you talk about technology, what technology has done to media industry, let me take you back to the time of 370 BC, when people started writing. When people started writing, Socrates was against writing. He thought written letters are going to make people lazy and leave when the young debaters started submitting their debates in written form, and he was dead against it. Then at that time, writing was the cutting edge technology. And he thought it was going to make young scholars soulless, his words, soulless. When after printing press came, when Gutenberg invented printing press, that was also, if you look back, by the standard of today, I think Gutenberg must have been the Steve Jobs of that time. It was bleeding edge technology, not even cutting edge technology. So then again, the argument against that technology was Catholic Church thought when people start printing St. James's Bible, that's going to make the monks who were writing Bible then until then lazy, because you don't have to write anymore because somebody is going to print St. James's Bible for you. And coming back to this age, as I started as a journalist, when I started in journalism, there were very few computers. Forget about social media, forget about mobile phones. We were writing and faxing copies in handwritten forms. Okay? So when I look in the mirror and I find myself as a timeline, because I changed, times have changed, and the platforms I practice journalism have changed, and the technology I use in teaching has changed. But storytelling, without a story, because storytelling hasn't changed. Okay, the structure of storytelling hasn't changed. So I have a problem when you use the word trust. I'm thinking that organizers must be using this word in the context of fake news. What's happening? So you can't blame technology. I don't see the point in blaming technology for a deterioration of the quality of the content. So if you look back and say, when you talk in the context of fake news, 1835 New York Sun actually printed a fake news, saying that scientists have found two unicorns and two-legged beavers on moon. And you can't blame social media for that. And Washington Post actually in 1981 won a Pulitzer Award for a fake story written by Janet Cook. So there was no social media then. So in the context of when you club technology with the quality of journalism, I have a problem with that. Because a knife was never invented to kill people. And the problem is with the users, the practitioners. So instead of blaming the practitioners for abusing, misusing, or whatever word you use, we tend to blame the entire platform for something. Okay, Facebook, okay, everything that appears on Facebook is wrong, everything that appears on Twitter is wrong, and everything that comes up on Snapchat is wrong. So entire platform is getting blamed. Of course, there is a downside with Facebook, and I'm not a huge fan of Mark Zuckerberg, but what we failed as journalists, what we had to look at, when we take a look into ourselves, I think where we failed was, that's where Mark Zuckerberg won. Because we had the audience, we had the readers, and we had the listeners. So rather than building a network around them, what we did was we took them for granted. As a result, people like Mark Zuckerberg, he started a platform, he built the network first, and now we are heavily dependent on Facebook. So there is no point in blaming social media or technology for the quality of journalism. I think we are to blame. I take part of me, part of the blame. I think as a practitioner of journalism, I also take the blame for that.
Oh.
Okay, I want to talk from a different perspective on what this technology is suggesting. Obviously, technology is disruptive, as all technologies are. When you talk about the digital technology, it has brought all media into your palm. It has brought the print media into your palm. It's got your radio into your palm. It's got your TV into your palm. It's got your social networking into your palm. It's got your games into your palm. It actually is done such a disruptive thing. Today, the world has changed forever from what it was some 10 years ago. And this disruption is going to expand further. For instance, when in India, we have 40 crores of people on average dealing a newspaper, whatever language it is. 25 crores of them are already looking at the screens in whatever form, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a mobile phone or a PC, or whatever, they're looking at the screen today for everything that I talked about. In next 2 years, that number is going to be 60 crores. So it's a growth from 25 crores to 60 crores in 2 years is an enormous growth. And that's going to be the single largest medium. And out of the 60 crores, it's projected it's going to be 50 crores in your hand. So talking about 50 crores of people looking at your hand, looking at the small screen to consume media, be it the video media or print media, whatever, it's going to actually make a big difference to how we get entertained, how we get the news, how we going to play games, all of that. And it is actually scary. There is one report I saw that the changes that are taking place are leading to such enormous divisiveness in the society. It actually, through the Facebooks and the WhatsApp, and the Twitters and all that, there's a division that is happening. The people who are actually on one side who have been quiet, who used to write letters to editor. When I was much younger, a lot of letters to editor used to come, and you write 10 letters to editor, at least maybe you'll be lucky to have one of them published in those days. Today, if I have some view, immediately write on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. The social media, what I would like to call personal media, has overtaken our lives so much. And there is a big debate last 2 years in India about intolerant society. The society is the same. It is the people have a method in their madness to express themselves.
Okay.
They were actually having a lot of pent-up feelings before. Now they have the tool in their hands or in front of the machine, whatever, that can allow them to express themselves through social media or personal media.
Yeah,
and that's a big difference. I can go on, but I think the moderator has got something in mind.
I think we should move on. What I meant was that today there is a huge debate about truth. What is truth? What is credible? And what you should read? And who should make your choice? You make your choice, or somewhere a faceless algorithm make your choice? The algorithm decides, or the editor decides, because of the huge generation.
No, I agree with you.
No. These are debating points. These are the issues we are confronting. It is not I won't say it is not a traditional.
I have a point of view. I want to express that after you finish.
Yeah, traditional I won't say it is not a failure of the traditional media or the old media or the legacy media. I think it is what the definition of media itself is changing, not just a social media, because the definition of news itself is changing. News is the cheapest commodity. Nobody is bothered. So what you want is that somebody else decide for you, not you just picks up something like that. Have you reached that stage? Has the truth gone beyond the grasp of the consumers like us, or somewhere there is not a big brother watching us, but a big brother choreographing our movement in the news field?
I think it's obviously it's no easy answers. Do you want to answer respond first? I can add to it.
Then you will come to that.
Hold up like this, yeah. Turn it off.
Hello. Of course, algorithm, but the way they are changing the algorithm, they keep changing the algorithm, because we got a huge problem. We got a huge problem with that. But what I mean to take things further, so rather than blaming the platform for that, why don't we take responsibility and why don't we try to build our audience into a network like Facebook? So for example, you can't blame the car if you crash the car. Okay? So rather than blaming the platform, and algorithms, this is exactly what the editors do. So if you look at US, the largest watch channel in the United States of America is Fox channel, and it's crap. And look at this country, I think by numbers, the largest channel will be Republic TV. And I don't want to say anything about Republic TV, but so who decides? The editors. And if that's the same function with algorithms. So we live in a position that we are so much dependent on Facebook and on social media to engage with the audience. Whose failure is that? It's our failure. So rather than wasting time, just say criticizing platforms, I think what we should be looking at it, and it's not going to be publishers versus platforms. I would rather look at it as publishers with platforms. So now news, they also, social media also news, because largest source of information for a lot of people, particularly in a country like India, like to give us numbers, this is the only country which is getting younger. 600 million people are under the age of 25. So what's going to determine our future as journalists is how these people are consuming information. To just take his argument further, what's the first thing you touch when you get up in the morning? It's your phone. And what's your last thing you touch before you go to sleep? Again, your phone. So information, rather than you chasing information, now we live in a world which we can't turn back the clock and we can't walk back. So what we have to do, we have to adapt, and we have to in order to hold platform also accountable, like we hold the authorities accountable, I think we should take more responsibility.
No, it's not a blame game. We are trying to make sense of the changed media ecosystem. So you want to say something like that?
No, my view is world is going to get more divisive. Okay, unfortunately, the democracy, people are saying, is under serious stress. All democracies under serious stress. You see what is happening in the US, where the world is so divided there between Trump versus others. It's ugly. President of the day is being called all kinds of names and all kinds of things. And personally speaking, I think he deserves all of that, but that's another story altogether. But the point I'm making is, world is going to be driven by what I call personal media, what is generally referred to social media, because the personal medium message that I get from a friend is a lot more credible than what I get from anybody else, because it's coming from a credible source. It may be a forward, but it's coming through a credible source. And whenever I tell people this looks like a fake news, no. This came from a very credible source. So and so has sent me. So this is something that must be true. I'm saying that we are actually confronted today with the serious dilemma of what is true and what is untrue. And the source credibility is so high, you start wondering whether it's true. I'll give one small example. In Tamil Nadu, there's a serious issue of late where poet Vairamuthu has talked against goddess Andal. Okay, and it is divided the society in more ways than anybody can imagine. Suddenly you get a tweet saying Vairamuthu has become a Christian. He's a converted Christian, and therefore he's speaking like that. On deeper analysis, we discover he's not a Christian. It's just that somebody has, started spreading that kind of rumor. Now that thing is so entrenched in people's mind in Tamil Nadu that it's a Christian. It's going to take probably a few years for people to take it out of their heads. Even if you go tell them it's fake news, it's not true. No, sir, you're cheating me, you're lying to me. So the point is, people don't want to believe what is true anymore because they already have decided that this is untrue. So that's the problem that we have today.
Yeah. I think we should not see, I believe, that any innovation, technology as an adversity rather than an opportunity and as a challenge. But you have to strike a balance. How the balance will be struck. So how the human mind, how the creative mind, how the creative leadership keep pace with this bad, disorganized, actually free digital race. So that is a challenge for the, I would say, old-fashioned journalism. I think journalism fundamentally is very old-fashioned. It's storytelling. It's narration. So how we are going to strike this fine balance between technology and the possibilities and the creative leadership of the human mind in media?
I completely, totally agree with you, sir. And if you look at a little more, I would like to push this argument a little bit more since our topic is technology. How can you link, I don't understand how we can link technology with trust. Because if you look at the technology now, we know actually it's pushed the boundaries of storytelling. For example, we are into virtual reality storytelling, we are into augmented reality storytelling, and we are into mixed reality storytelling. And these are all being enabled by technology. And it has nothing to do with, so if you don't have a story as a traditional reporter, and if you don't have a story, technology cannot replace story. So if you ask me what's going to, a lot of students ask me, okay, are we going to be with the bots, artificial intelligence and robo-journalism? Is it going to replace journalism? No, it's not. Because if you don't have a story to tell, the technology is completely useless. So that's my view. Then, second point is, Trump and Brexit, what has brought this argument and this debate, actually not an argument, into society, how not technology, social media is undermining, could be an element in helping undermine in democracy. But you can look at the other side. So, for example, a huge campaign, like a very grassroots campaign like Black Lives Matters in the US was enabled and powered by the reach of social media and the same technology. And if you look at Arab Spring 5 years ago, how did it happen? It was technology which played a huge part in the same Arab Spring and mobilizing people in different countries. So the problem is with the user and not with the platforms. And like he said, like Sir said, our job is to strike a balance. Where do you draw the line? What is, if technology, you cannot replace good journalism with technology. What technology is, it has created more storytellers, and it actually enabled a lot of people to tell more stories than a few people working for certain organizations, which I see as a good thing.
I just want to ask a specific question coming from the advertising. Do you think that truth has become another saleable commodity? It can be packaged, it can be gift wrapped, it can be presented, it can be, sold to the highest bidder, or it can be packaged.
Truth, untruth.
Yeah. No, today.
I'm saying truth. I'm deliberately asking you a question.
The fact. No, there is no. Because there is a debate about the certainty of the truth. Because it is what you believe. A fact can be interpreted by me and you differently. The truth is what
it is.
I see.
What it is.
The fact. So
okay,
can it be marketed today, or is it being marketed?
Okay, let me answer it. But I'll come to the answers. Yeah. Let me give you an example. During Hitler regime, he said, say a big lie repeatedly, often enough, and people will believe that to be true. And he said so nicely, and he accomplished that very well. How big the lie is. I saw a few days ago, there was a forward in from my group. The two circles on the screen, One was green, one was orange. Both appeared to be the same size to me. But the commentator goes on to say, the two circles you see here, they're not the same size. Point out which one is not the same size, which one is bigger. Okay, so addressing the audience on the screen. So some of them said blue, some of them said whatever, orange, whatever. Then he says, you know, they are of the same size. I told you they were of different size. Your mind started thinking they are different size and started evaluating which is bigger. So the truth is like that. Okay. Actually, anything that we say is true, people believe it to be true. Anything we say is untrue, people believe it to be untrue. And depends on how many times you say it, how you say it. And that's true with communication also. Fortunately for us, when it comes to advertising, there are enough watch bodies, including competition, to keep watching over what is being communicated, whether is truthful or not. And if it's not truthful, they have recourse to the courts or to Advertising Standard Council of India. So by and large, so untrue, anything that's not true, anything that's provocative, anything that is demeaning women, anything that's offending the neighboring country, all of that can't be said in advertising. Because there are watchdogs available.
I just want to ask you something. Has technology made it easier for, you know, the today's, our times, all the demagogues or a populist, somebody to market what you now come to know as the fake news or something like that? Is technology, I won't say that technology made it possible, but technology made it easier for you to, made it easier for propaganda. When earlier you had a professional propagandist, the Hitler had a professional propagandist, and today you don't need one. You know, you are your own, because you are your own media, you are your own media manager, or you are your own image maker. So you create everything, you create your own news environment. You don't need another system outside you. You need only a phone and a finger, possibly. And so truth has made it to this demagogy or totalitarian temptations easier today.
Of course, I agree with that. Because as in any social activity, technology like cars have made us faster. You know, cars have become the extension of our legs. Technology has made it actually easier. Particularly, I'm talking about social media. Because of the size and scope, 2.2 billion people on it, and it's actually dissemination of facts as well as fake news easier. At the same time, the same technology has made it easier to refute that, to actually put forward a counter argument against untruth. So I think what the need of the hour is to actually teach social media literacy in schools. I think that's already happening in Germany, in countries in Europe, it's already happening. So if you ask your friends, and I've seen a lot of people saying, I saw it on Facebook. And in the United States, in the developed country, United States, and the 60% people under the age of 18, they were not able to identify the source of the information they are getting on Facebook. They just say, I saw on Facebook. So they don't go and verify. They don't know whether it's come from New York Times, whether it's come from Washington Post, whether it's come from Politico. They don't give a damn. So that's what the literacy should be starting. There should be like a literacy movement, like an ability to write and read and write. Because of the reach and the size and its ability, the power to actually distort truth. The need of the hour is our campaign and social media literacy campaign.
Do you have anything to say on this?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the authoritarian, people getting more authoritative, the rule of law is actually in the hands of few and others. We've seen that repeatedly over the decades. It's not something new that you see here. It's not, I think, the rule of social media alone. It is, I think, the gullibility of the people at large itself, in the societies we live in. And even today we see that many economies. It's nothing that we need to single out about India or against India, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, when there is one set of thought going in a democracy like India, there's also room for another set of thought that's going in. It's not as though that people are suppressing the other trend of thought. You may have one version coming this way, there's another version coming this way, and therefore, the stronger version of the two generally prevails at times of elections.
Okay.
So it's not as though that the one version alone will go through because somebody is authoritarian. There is, that's, actually I tell you end of the day, people of India are very, very smart. They know how to vote on the day of the voting. Somebody may say, people can be buying votes and all that, they can go and stamp different votes. All that is gone because of electronic voting today. That is gone virtually. So
coming back to this, now we talk about, is it that there is a monopoly on today, kind of this huge, earlier we used to talk about this socialist control over propaganda. Now, in a modern world, today there is a monopoly of this on information by this organization like Facebook, Google. So there is no place for, the power they wield is much more than any government can even dream of. It influences your mind, and it influences policies, it influences behavior, and it influences your relationship. It is the most powerful, influence of technology in the private and public life of its users. So this is a moment of reckoning. Yeah. Moment of reckoning.
As a matter of fact, they've thrown out regimes in Egypt. We can't forget, just 7 years ago, the uprising caused by a post of some guy being, Mohammed Said, or whatever his name is, Caliph Said, was brutally murdered by police, and that started a revolution in Egypt, and that's caused the downfall of the government, and,
on the other side, just imagine this, the moment governments or regulators start controlling Google and Facebook, where do you draw the line? How is it different from censorship? So, again, what is the solution? I think the solution has to come from users. User being smarter and user being having the ability to actually sift truth from noise from news. I think we also, as users, as audience, we also should be very alert about this. And I don't think it's a good idea to leave it to the government. Okay, you control this. Because that's not working. That's because how is it different from, say, in the United States, it's protected by the information is, journalism is protected by the First Amendment. But in this country, once the government start controlling this, where do you draw the line? Where do you stop?
I think it has every moment of empowerment has a perverse side, because I think that is what's happening in this technological revolution in the media, because the other side of the empowerment is that it has become a huge arena of trash and rubbish. So how will you deal with that? This rubbish is seeping into our life. So how will you cope with that? So who will control this? Is it this moment of freedom? Somewhere we should exercise our responsibility and make this, maybe ration this freedom. No?
I completely agree with that. I think the trust, as starters, I think we should start de-linking technology and trust. Okay? We take more responsibility, the users take more responsibility, and we work with the audience and build our own network, and I think that's going to be the solution. It's not government, not to leave it to the government. To leave it to the government is not a solution.
I think okay.
No, actually, I want to take it talking about, I think at the practical human level is going to change or not. The fact of the matter is, the technology has pervaded into various aspects of our lives. E-commerce, my God, amount of issues that are going to come up on e-commerce is going to be unimaginable. I think we asked shut up.
No? You let me know. Okay.
No, I'm saying that maybe we can talk about issues that's going to come from there, what's going to come from entertainment, what's going to come from gaming. I say all these are very interesting things that's going to happen thanks to this technology, media. I think media is going to be less and less relevant as we knew.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there was a time when we used to look forward to news on television where there's news given. Now it's only views given. There is no, that's a big pain.
Exactly. No,
Today, we can't even hear the other person speaking because they all speak at the same time.
So I just want to take it this, because whenever there this kind of challenges come, you should ideally make it more creative. That's what usually happens, because you postpone your mortality by being more creative. That's how it happens. So are our newsrooms creative today to cope with these challenges? Are they?
I noticed one television started 60 minutes speech from one side, 60 minutes from the other side. Now I saw one more TV channel copying the same thing. So there's no, the creativity is quickly matched.
No, I mean,
I would like to see technology more of an enabler, an empowerer rather than hindrance. So it's obvious the choice is very clear. Who decides? Is it a good idea to control this platform, or is it rollback technology and go back to the? I don't think that's a solution. I think any user, like any judicious user, I think we should take control of this and as responsible citizens, and that's our way forward for I think to improve media, the quality over quantity.
Any question from the audience? You can ask questions.